Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, episode 29, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and once again, we are joined this week by Mel, aka Melarina. Welcome back.
First of all,
I love
wasn't
going
here
first. I'm
last
sorry.
week, so I don't know what once again means.
There wasn't another person here. We don't, think about him. But yeah, I'm the most important. So thank you, Bob, for recognizing that.
Is Mel a guest this week? I didn't see her last week.
I was here last week, wasn't I?
She's
No.
part-time.
We had Def Camp and Melderon on.
Yeah, you watched.
I was
you
driving
watched
back
last
from
week.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I felt like I was there, guys.
Screaming the whole time.
I was actually arguing with you while I was driving back in the car. I was like, no, Bob, this is what it is. Or like he'd say something, I think he said something like, nobody can have any argument to this point. And I was like, I could have an argument to that point. Why am I not there? Like I almost called him. It was really rough.
Yeah, those are the types of things I say to make people angry, and it obviously worked.
It worked.
We're also joined by...
It was less effective because I'm usually on the podcast, right? So I was just annoyed that I wasn't there to rebuttal it. I'm just trying to delay you introducing you.
You're doing a good job.
I'm a man who needs no introduction.
Yeah, we also have Yip, a.k.a. Ryan, a.k.a. Cognitive Pit. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Super tired, as we'll get into more about why I'm tired later, but drinking this energy drink and I'm amped up. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Get it going.
Oh, man. All right, well... This week, it's not. I don't think it's going to be a very long episode, but we always say that. We've got a couple reviews. Yip did his apology tour last week. I'll be taking my apology tour this week. Then we're going to get into some news. So not much news, but a little bit. And then we're going to discuss Vargflocken's Naxxramas Progression and how we're doing there. And then we might, if we have time, we might talk about the recent rise in the call for dual spec. So with that said, without further ado, Yip, take it away.
Yeah, so a couple of reviews. The first one is a new review on Warcraft Radio. We got a couple questions in here, so I think we'll answer them after I read the whole thing as well, too. Hello, guys. Ryan, Bob, Mel, and others. Really like your content. I heard every single podcast, and it is awesome. I'm listening to you while working as a van driver, and you make some of my long drives more enjoyable, even if you are making statements I do not agree with. Yes, I sometimes kind of argue with you in my car while driving. So does Mel, clearly.
Dude,
I can completely relate.
Just to interject, that's one of the best compliments for me you could ever have, because that's what I do with podcasts that I really like, is I argue with them. And Mel's even talked about it on the show. Like I actually say it out loud. And so I think that's great.
Correct.
I mean,
even when I'm in the car,
yeah.
And I'm like, you realize they can't hear you, Bob, right?
Everyone has opinions, and they're just like assholes. They all stink, but like we all have them. And if everybody had the same opinion, life would be pretty freaking boring. So thank you for disagreeing and sometimes agreeing. We love that.
Well, what's interesting is because I'm such a good podcaster, every time I'm wrong, it's actually to create that sort of situation. I'm never actually wrong. If I say something wrong, it's like acting to get this engagement going on. So keep that in mind.
Okay, to be fair, especially as the host, I do often ask questions I already know the answer to, or somewhat know the answer to, but want more insight on what they think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be fair, most of the time I ask questions, I literally have no idea the answer to them.
And I'm wrong all the time too. But go ahead with the rest of it.
So anyway, that's written in here. For me as a casual player, I really would like Blizzard to make TBC endless servers, because I would like to level up all classes and have all professions. It's kind of my goal in WoW. What's your opinion about that? Do you think they will make this happen? Another question, do you think they will do some kind of server merging when TBC releases? Or at least give some free character transfer options? I hope they do, because right now I'm playing on a low pop server, and for a person like me who really loves PvP/world PvP, yes, my main character is a rogue. It's
Ugh,
kind of sad for me to level up my shaman in Stranglethorn and couldn't find any players to kill.
that's
Good.
sad. Man, God.
I know that low pop servers have some pros like managing auction house, rares are always up and stuff like that. But PvP is PvP. That's probably all for now. Need to go to work. I just want to thank you for your podcasts and give you some feedback. I am looking forward to hear more. Keep up the great work, guys. Your listener from Czech Republic. P.S. For the Horde, Moto Striker, 10 storm on 10 Storms
Wow.
EU. I think that's how the Horde say it. I could be
Oh, yeah,
wrong.
definitely. Yeah, that's totally
For the
Thank
Alliance.
thank you for your review. And you had a couple questions in there I think we can touch on. Endless servers. So endless servers I think are a good idea. I think that they probably will keep a small amount of servers open to be endless classic and endless TBC servers because like some people just want to keep their character and not progress, I think. I imagine they would probably just like let you transfer to that. However, they're going to deal with the transferring to TBC, and it's in when Wrath comes out, which I think is probably going to come out. I think it'll probably be the same situation for TBC Endless. So I think
Well,
that will happen.
I thought that too, but then I started to think about it. When do they shut that down? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the only smart way to do it is definitely allow people to transfer to a server when that server fills, make another server type of deal. Because I don't think it's going to be a huge part of the population. Like, even the private server population really just wants fresh on a big majority of those players. And so when does Blizzard shut that server down? You know what I mean? Does it just get to stay alive forever? Do they watch the population and as it drops, like turn it off or merge them? Like that's where I see Blizzard kind of worried about doing those types of endless servers. But I do think it'd be a good idea and at least be there for a while.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
would
to
think.
be
I think.
fair, I feel like it's gonna come down to profit over, like, expenses, right? If there's enough people that want the endless server, I think that they will keep it going. If there's not enough people to want the endless server that takes into account the amount of money they're paying people to monitor the endless servers, they'll stop them, right? And I think, yes, nobody likes to think about that, but it's reality and it's the world we live in. And if they're paying more for it to be open than they're gaining in revenue, then there's no point.
Yeah, and the reason that I'm talking about is just their hesitation in doing it to start. Because in anything in life, giving things super easy. Like your employees, you give them an extra perk. Super easy to give. Taking things away, extremely difficult.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my only concern is the fact that we don't have 100% confirmation. We probably will in the next couple weeks about a TBC pre-patch. That's what worries me about endless classic servers because I don't imagine they're not going to like let you transfer to an endless classic server before the pre-patch. I think, and then once that pre-patch hits, it's sort of like, is that what the endless classic server is going to be on the pre-patch or? So that does confuse things a little bit. I
Yeah.
think it would just be nice to have a server because there's going to be a small population who don't want fresh and don't want TBC. They might want to raid Nax a little bit longer and then just kind of have like a museum server where they can come back and look at their character or like do some Alterac Valley or something in a weekend if they want it. It'd be nice. I think that they will do it, but it, maybe they won't. They might just not. With TBC, I think TBC is like awesome. I think there's more to do, and I can see that being an even better reason to have endless TBC. I think classic is sort of like okay, you have Nax and you've got like some basic battleground stuff with a horrible honor system. But when you look at TBC, it makes more sense to play TBC endlessly. There's
Yeah.
actually content to do.
It'd be kind of like having a
Right.
twink in,
Yeah.
in regular. You're just kind of sitting there and you get to PvP at that level with that gear set. You can get everything perfect. Like that does sound kind of appealing in TBC just because PvP was better in my opinion and arenas there. And it would be neat to just have the absolute BIS PvP sets, and trinkets and stuff like that. It'd be neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you think about it, and Freak in chat brought this up, but if they just go through a cycle of like resetting the servers, maybe it's every, year or every 6 months, it doesn't even matter. Like whatever their quote is, like they reset the servers and they can replay them. And I think that that would be the easiest fix to allowing people to play how they want to play, right? If you want to continue to play classic, go ahead. But you're not going to continue to play classic and just play until Nax, get all your Nax gear, and then just continue to play. Like it needs to be reset at some point.
Yeah, with Classic, yeah, I definitely see that with Classic. TBC a little different, but with Classic, it's sort of like, I don't know what you're doing
What are
at
you
this
gonna do?
point. Plus, the raid progression is so different compared to TBC and Classic. I saw a guild on Reddit. They just formed 7 weeks ago with, like, new players, I think, or maybe they're, like, previous, and they have just cleared Cthulhu in 7 weeks, and it's sort of like, okay, they're on the Nax
What now?
progression probably now. Yeah, so it's like they got super far in such a short amount of time. It's not really like you're gonna have a lot of new guilds popping up on these endless servers, but with endless TBC, it's like, dang, we have a lot of raids to go through, a lot of different gear tiers to go through. That I think the raids are a little bit harder. It's a little harder to just like jump right to the end. You've got long attunements and things like that. Whereas classic, it's like, well, let's just jump into Nax with world buffs and just get the gear we can get right
Right.
now. So definitely a little different. His other question, though, was do we think that there's going to be any server merging for TBC? Yeah, there's going to be server merging. Some of these
Definitely.
servers are so grossly populated with like faction imbalances, and then there's also super low population servers. So there will be something like free character transfers or mergers, or there's going to be something.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
would
I guess I wonder how they will do that though, right? Because they're not going to know exactly how many of the characters are going to go over to TBC. And then on top of that, how many of them will be active on TBC, right? Even if they go with the transfer to TBC, say that's how it happens, like say we're on Whitemane and Whitemane just transfers from Classic to TBC, how many of those players are going to continue to be active in TBC, not in Classic, not in retail, but in TBC, and then assess what other needs
I
we have?
think that's the easiest way to assess that is they assess the time during the pre-patch, and then it happens after pre-patch. They see who's working towards and doing a lot of things. Like you can see people that are going to be getting ready. I mean, before TBC opens, I'll have 20 quests completed and just sitting ready to turn in. I'll have things ready to boost me quicker on my process. So people that are playing a bunch during the pre-patch are probably going to be playing in TBC.
Yeah,
it
but
wouldn't
I probably won't play a bunch in the pre-patch, and I will play TBC.
I mean,
it wouldn't
you'll be
surprise
doing the
me
quests with me if you want to be caught up with me in level.
It would
Right.
not surprise me if they do, instead of just progressing servers, they actually do go on to say, if you want to play TBC, here are the 10 servers on America. You transfer the one that you want to transfer to, and then that's that. And we
That's
just
yeah,
start fresh.
Yeah.
that's
I think
still a
that's the easiest
possibility.
solution without forcing people to merge. You're not forcing people to stay on particular servers.
It
I think
just
that
screws up
is an option.
it screws up naming then. But then also like
Yeah.
this guy wants to go to a higher pop server, but a lot of people that are on lower pop servers that they've written into us, they definitely prefer being on lower pop. So do you do that to them? But there are definitely servers that are like Scarum but with Alliance.
Yep.
So I mean, they could merge those, but I know many people, especially a lot of people on Scarum, are not happy about it being horde only.
Well, a big complaint too, which I
Well,
have.
it's their fault.
Populations are too large right now. Like even like it's cool being on high pop for certain reasons, but the world was not designed to have this many people in it. So
Right.
without layering, you actually have a big problem about how many people are out and about in the world. And TBC is a very small zone. Like it's not like
True.
mainland Azeroth where you have these enormous continents where you can find places where people don't exist. TBC is going to have so many people that being on a high pop server is going to be awful for a while unless they do like some layering or some other solution. So forcing people to merge and then give them a worse experience because of it is wouldn't be great.
You're muted.
Hi. I just opened. I just hope that if they open new servers that they put a cap, right? Like I want them to cap out the number of alliance and the number of horde that can be there, right? I don't want them to have just a general cap of like, say this server holds 2,000 people. If it's 2,000 alliance that sign up first, that's who gets in. Like that just isn't World of Warcraft to me. I feel like you can have 1,000 alliance and 1,000 horde, and that's your cap. If you go over that, you can't. Like,
Yeah, early in Classic, they messed up transfers by allowing like everyone to transfer on and off servers, and
right.
the factions got ridiculously imbalanced because of that. So on servers where Horde were overly populated, they should have only allowed Horde to transfer off the server. But for some reason, they also allowed Alliance to transfer off the server for free, and that's what caused these like insane imbalances. So
Well,
hopefully
and
they
they
learned.
just allowed way too big of servers.
Yeah,
Freaking chat points out that the biggest mess up is letting them have servers that are 4 times the size of the largest server in vanilla, and I have to agree with that completely. It's neat to be able to find anything I want on the auction house. I will say that, and it was a lot better for farming when there were layers, but without layers, there's just not enough resources in the world for the amount of people that need them.
yeah, you need some solution like layers, and honestly, I mean, I liked layers.
I did
I didn't
too.
like that. I didn't like that people were like abusing the mechanic by like for world buffing. It was kind of a problem, but for TBC, I just think that layers make sense. Like
And
it fixes the problem.
I like it way more than what retail does, where they just will throw someone random from a different server on, in with you. I think that, you might never see that person again. But if you're on layers, you might be on a different layer, but you can still see them again. They're still talking in the same general and trade chats. I mean, it still feels like it's part of your world. So I think layering was definitely the way to go, as opposed to what retail does.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Moto Striker, for your questions and your review. We also have two more. These were iTunes reviews that we were from another country, so they just didn't. They're from Australia,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they just didn't show up for us. So we're a little late on them.
So yeah,
Prob
just to put a little something on top of that, I found reviews from a couple other countries, but we can't read them all. I'm gonna try and find them, and we'll sprinkle them in as light reviews and stuff. But I don't think we want an entire episode of just reviews. So I did find you guys' reviews. If you want me to specifically check your country, I have to do it country at a time. So send us a tweet, send us an email, let us know that you left one, and I will definitely try to get it on the show.
Yeah, and feel free to update these Australian reviews with a quick thank you for not trying your accent out. All right, so the first one is from James. Great classic WoW podcast. Stumbled onto this podcast and have enjoyed listening to all of the episodes so much that it has got me back playing classic WoW. I love the balance
Woo woo.
of topics, and they do a great job making sure they cater to the casual and the hardcore player. Keep up the great work. Thank you, James. And then one from Lyle, the classic challenge. Hey gang, I like your pod, and I'm a gardener, so I have heaps of time to listen at work, and you guys are a great way to kill an hour or so while I work. I don't know how many people
This
listen
must have
from
been
smaller
really
towns.
early.
Yeah, this is
An
probably
hour or
when
so.
This was in
that's
the 19th of October last year.
yeah,
Mm,
so yeah, pretty early. Probably when Mel was like, "Who gets to listen to podcasts at work?" And now everyone tells us their job when they tell us they can listen. I'm in Oceanic Realm, but it sounds to me like a heap of your wish list for a more challenging experience could probably be solved by not playing on the biggest server with a big guild. I'm
fair.
a part of a pretty casual guild, and sometimes we still don't get Nef down. We're not even up to Twin Imps. It was a party getting Nef down. Also, less bots, and we always get 40 to our raids. So everything is harder, but we know what we're doing. So it's a sweet spot of progression and chill. Also, Alliance is easy mode. So Alliance is easy mode for now. Let's going forward in TVC and on, Horde kind of get catered to, I think, overall. But thank you so much for your review. I will say, we also don't always get $40 raids. So we are on a big server, but our guild is not. We don't ever keep a roster more than like 43 or so. So we definitely have some of those struggles as well.
I
We just
think
all
we're
yell
like
at each
the
other.
eternal optimists that everybody will show up right? We're like, well, we don't want to have too many people where we had to sit people. So
Yeah.
we're just like optimistic that everybody shows up and then they don't. And then it's
Well,
like,
it feels,
oh
listen, as
man.
an officer, dude, like it does feel really bad to tell someone like, "Hey, you showed up, you're world buffed, you're not coming tonight. Sorry, you're just." And like it is there are reasons why we would sit a particular person. Luckily for us, it's usually not like performance based. We can just do it by attendance. We've only had to sit a few people like a couple of times, but luckily we just do it by attendance, so it doesn't feel that bad. We're not like, yeah, your DPS numbers, you're gonna have to sit out tonight. So luckily we don't
Yeah.
have to have any of those conversations.
It just feels like super bad when you're trying to progress and there's like 32 people and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
It's
rough.
rough, really rough.
Well, thank you, Lyle, and thank you, everyone else who left a review. We really appreciate it. I know Bob guilted you into doing it, but he's going to keep doing it. So I hope
I,
get out of the guilt trip and just leave a review, guys. Thank you so much.
I definitely appreciate it. And then last week, Yip did his apology tour, and this week it's my turn to do my apology tour. Now, we talk about a lot of things, and we are going to get things wrong from time to time. And we really appreciate it when users and listeners on Reddit or on YouTube let us know when we made an error. We want to correct those when we can because I don't care about being wrong. I just care about being right the next time. So we do appreciate it. And so the first one that was very interesting was druids herbing in their flight form. So it turns out that there's different pages that show the patch notes, and some say druids are no longer able to herb in flight form, and some say druids are now able to herb in flight form. And it's just like there's so much wrong information about the old game out there. That was in patch 2.2. So a really
Because it
smart
was a
Reddit,
million years ago.
yeah. So a really smart Reddit user plugged the original link to the 2.2 patch into the Wayback Machine, which is a website that allows you to see what a website looked like at a certain time in the past. And he pulled it up, and it does turn out that druids lost the ability to herb in flight form in 2.2. So if you were planning a druid so that you could do that, you might want to think not now.
Yeah, the only thing about that is that druids can herb in flight form in retail. So at some point, if this
Really?
is correct, at some point they get swapped back. Yeah, druids can herb in retail in flight form. So there is who knows? We'll see, right? Like we'll see.
I know.
Just a
It's
mystery.
basically,
Isn't the mystery fun, guys? Come
yeah.
on.
I mean, it is kind of fun because there's going to be so many things where you're like, crap, we were wrong, because that happened in vanilla too, or in classic from vanilla. We had a lot of assumptions that turned out to be wrong. And so it's kind of exciting. The other thing was we were talking about auction houses, right? And someone came in and told me that auction houses were linked in 1.9, and so I was like, well, I need to just look into this. So I looked all over the net, found arguments with people everywhere talking about how there wasn't auction houses and how there was, and blah 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 blah, and everybody just fighting about it. So I went back and looked at every single patch, and it turns out in 1.9 it said auction houses are now linked. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't tell me when the auction houses came in Stormwind and the other major cities. So I went way back, finally found something in the beta. Turns out, originally, there were auctioneers in every major city. They were turned off everywhere except for Booty Bay, Gadget Sand, Stormwind, or no,
Ironforge.
Ironforge and Ogamer during the beta. So they were still technically there, but unusable until 1.9 when they turned them back on and linked them. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but that's the actual story there.
I feel like you're like just calling for another apology tour next week with that
Yeah,
comment.
yeah, because you're still assuming that they turned them back on in 1.9, but
I
They might have
looked
been on.
through I looked through every single patch and
All,
searched
all I'm
auction.
saying, all I'm saying is that
I guess
there's still an assumption here.
I didn't use the Wayback Machine, so maybe
Yeah.
I should have
See?
used the
We'll
Wayback
see.
Machine, but that
We'll
would be
see.
a lot of work. But I did go back, search every single patch for the word auction, read every bit of information. There was nothing about Stormwind Auction House or anything until 1.9 when they said they are now linked. And so,
Maybe they were just stealthy about it.
well, they were turned, yeah, but they were turned off in the beta, so I assume that they were turned off until then because I found no information showing that they were ever turned back on before then. So,
Right, but you didn't find any Okay, fine. I'll just
yeah,
let it
I'm the
go.
one that did the research. If you'd like to research, go ahead and do it. Send me the links,
I would
and I
not.
will love
I'd
it.
just like to argue with you.
I know. And then, okay, then Ryan had a question about resilience and was it good for PvE? And a savvy user on YouTube pointed out that it's really good for bears. And I assume he's right because bears, since they can't parry or block, the defense rating isn't the best for them. So resilience is probably really good.
Yeah, I mean, I would believe that. Whether or not it's true,
Yeah, we're not sure.
Listen,
yeah,
I have a druid. I'll let you guys know once TBC comes out. I'm gonna go full bear form. Get it done.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
definitely.
just full end game gear. We're gonna
Yeah, I
test it
got
out.
this.
Tanking.
Fine.
All right, well, now it's time to move on to the news. So, in news this week, the PTR has made a couple changes. So, with the removal of batching, a lot of a lot of paladins were upset about maybe not being able to seal twist anymore. So now on the PTR, paladin seals will now persist on the paladin for a very short time after they're replaced by a different seal, which should allow for the seal twisting. So they're definitely trying to make sure it's not impacting anything currently. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought
like
it was
anything
cool.
that I guess could have been done should still be allowed to be done. Just don't make my cast take longer, okay?
Yeah, it was interesting to see some of the comments on this thread, though. Some people were complaining and saying that seal twisting shouldn't even exist and that it's bad in classic and stuff like that. It was kind of interesting. I don't play paladin, so I really don't know that information. But I had assumed that all paladins would be okay with that, with them trying to keep seal twisting in. But some people think they're just trying to shoehorn it in too much. So interesting that there's a discussion on it.
Well, I
I
mean,
feel like it's just too late, right? Like it's too late to take it away. Like if they
Well,
would have made
it's
this
really for
change in
TBC.
okay. Okay, well, for TBC, I feel like is this something that people could have done in TBC or was the
yes,
latency too
definitely.
high that they couldn't?
No, it was definitely something that was done in TBC. And I'm guaranteeing you, the biggest reason for this change is a man by the name of S-Fan who went on a freaking crusade to stop it. And, I didn't think he was making the argument that, it should be changed back because we can't do this. And I was like, no. Just because your paladin can't do something doesn't mean everyone else should suffer. I definitely think the devs have come up with a smarter idea to appease both sides.
Well, you also have to realize they balanced the patches based on what was happening at the time, right? So if this was a possibility at the time, that's how they balanced the next patch. So to change it completely and say, well, that's not what it was intended to do, that's fine. It's not what it was intended to do, but it did it. And then every patch after that took that into account.
Yeah, seal twisting is totally like it got removed. It's like an accidental removal that got changed because of the removal of spell batching. So I think they're not trying to change anything fundamentally. They just want the game to feel better again. So it's nice to see that they're listening to people and not like accidentally fundamentally changing certain things. They
Well,
literally were just trying to remove spell batching.
and now it'll be actually easier for paladins to seal twist correctly because before there was a little RNG in there and they'd have to, use those annoying little tick mods. I can't stand those when I see those on stream. It just tick up with the server tick. But I know you have to have them as casters and stuff, but I just do not like it. But looks like Blizzard was listening to me and found out that I lost my buffs week before last, and they've changed the Mark of the Champion, Rune of the Dawn, and Seal of the Dawn's benefits to now be marked as a passive aura and will no longer count towards your player buff cap. This is great because
Really?
yeah, because it gives that little buff that allows you to get Scourge Stones, and because you can't look at your undead attack power, I was never sure if I clicked it off, if I was still getting the undead attack power, and so it's kind of nice that I just don't have to worry about that now, and I can still use that. Resolved an issue that caused some summoned guardians, such as the Arcanite Dragon. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Arcanite Dragonling and Vanquished Tentacle of Cthulhu, to become stuck on defensive AI and fail to attack enemies. I think you were trying to say something cheeky, but you were muted.
Yeah, I said Sithan.
So bad.
Just to trigger, yep.
Shadow Oil and Frost Oil now can proc while the player is on global cooldown, so that is cool.
That's actually really nice.
Could have used that a while back, though.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter now, really, but
Yep.
but it interesting.
And then resolved an issue caused the Barov peasant collar trinket to only spawn one peasant. Resolved an issue that caused the Brimstone Staff and Rock Dalar crossbow of the Ancient Keepers to not properly animate in game.
Longbow.
Yeah, it's a longbow.
It's not a crossbow. Okay, let's not.
I just read crossbow.
Sell it short.
Resolved several issues with the Eye of the Dead trinket. Spells such as Chain Heal and Prayer of Healing now only consume a single charge. Heal over time.
Big.
Yeah, heal over time spells now properly consume the charge when used.
Listen, I wish I knew about this, problem that was with this really cool trinket that we did have. Never mind. But
You can say it. We've killed
wish I
Saffron
had it.
before. We've got
oh
we've
yeah,
got one.
Sav. Yeah, we got one. Okay, guys, we got one. I did not get it. I definitely do not have enough TKP for that. But I wish I knew about this problem. That was my whole point. That's all.
And then they also fixed a few places in the Heigen, the unclean encounter area, where plague waves overlap and cause double damage. Now, we had one almost wipe one time on this boss, and we were so confused. It turns out this is probably what killed us.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Maybe.
I think there were times where we had some like really weird bugs and people dying like with full health, like having 9k health and then dying from one plague wave doesn't make sense. I don't think that's how much damage it does. So there were some times where things were a little bit odd, and it does look like it was sometimes dealing double damage. So makes sense.
Yep. And for all the guilds that were outraging Heigen the Unclean's mana burn. Wait, no. Yeah. I read that right. So if you were using this strategy that we talked about with Melderon 2 weeks ago, where you tank Heigen on the platform and your range stand a little bit like all the way to the back, and then they're out of the range of the mana burn, looks like that's no longer gonna work. They've increased the range.
I'm a little sad, one,
because we never
that
tried
we didn't
it.
get to try it. We were too scared to try it because like what we're doing is working. So it's sort of like, do we want to throw a wrench and everything and like wipe on Heigen because we're being silly, or just keep doing what we're doing? So that's kind of a bummer. But some of these hot fixes, they kind of bring up an interesting problem that I hadn't thought about. I was under the assumption that 1.13 was coming as the pre-patch, but these hot fixes are part of 1.13, which makes it seem like they're going to have this come out earlier, because these are like Heigen bug fixes that if they want to hot fix this, then wouldn't they put this in like in the next couple of weeks, or like maybe during BlizzCon or something like that?
Yeah, I'm assuming that means that we're going to get the no batching earlier than we might have expected. But at the
Which
same
is a
time,
really big deal.
yeah, at the same time, they could always hold back certain things and push certain things. I mean, Overwatch did that a ton.
Yeah, it's just like you would think that. So like these, I don't know. It's odd though. It's just odd because these are things that you would think they would hotfix. Like Heigen, if they don't want people doing Heigen this way, you would think that they would just hotfix it. So like it makes me think that it's coming sooner. And removing spell batching sooner than the pre-patch, it actually shocks me. I would never guess that they would make that large of a change before sort of like the signal that it's the end of this current content patch. So kind of interesting. I bet we'll get a bunch more information for during BlizzConline. I don't think this will come out before then. They might announce. I mean, that might be one of their announcements, like, "Yeah, we're killing spell batching, and it's live on Tuesday." Who knows?
Right
We'll see.
now, yeah, and we'll be
Yeah.
doing we'll do a BlizzConline episode next week, so we'll get our predictions and stuff in. We might even talk about some other Blizzard games too. It'll just be like a basic BlizzConline episode. You're muted again.
Oh man, my key wasn't working. Is it next Friday?
No, it's
This week
Friday
after.
after next,
So we'll do predictions next week.
Really? The 19th?
the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. There was one point where they said they were going to have BlizzConline on the February 15th. I swear to God, because I made a joke about it being Valentine's Day and having BlizzCon online.
Yeah, I
did
remember
make a
you
joke
making that
about
joke, and I
Valentine's
was very
Day.
confused about it. I remember you
Okay.
talking about it, and I was like, well, it's not during Valentine's. So,
I swear it said February 14th, okay?
That's hilarious too, and I didn't even catch it when you said it. I was just like, "Oh, that sucks," but I didn't even think
No,
about
you
the
guys,
date
I
for
swear
Valentine's Day.
they said it was okay. Listen, you guys should have corrected me at the time and not just let me go on this tangent.
I don't know that it was even on the podcast. It might have been discussed in Raider Chat, but
oh, it was on the podcast.
was it?
No, because like I make a decision. I'm like, let's see, should I have the mean Redditors correct Mel, or should I correct Mel? And it just seems better to let other people. Plus, I was like,
No!
maybe there's a chance I'm wrong. You know, I'm gonna
Oh,
correct
yeah,
somebody,
you
and then
saved
I'm.
yourself. Save yourself.
Well, here's
Yeah,
the thing.
the only time people are comfortable correcting someone is when it's me.
Like the question is like, what's worse, saying something wrong or correcting somebody and being wrong? When you correct someone and you're wrong about the correction, it feels
That's fair.
way worse.
That's why
You
you
just have
always
to,
do it with.
like,
Are you sure
phrase
about
it
that?
the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you sure
For
about that?
devil's advocate, is that correct?
I'm just gonna say this because maybe people are thinking it, but have you thought about this?
All right. Well, we're gonna move on. The last little it's kind of a bug. It is a bug, but the Lunar Festival Quests. Turns out if you did them last year, they're just not here this year. They didn't reset properly, and so they're working on that. And they might even have it fixed by the time that you hear this podcast. But if you're looking for them and wondering why you can't see them and you did them last year, that's why. So just hang tight. Hopefully they'll get that fixed. All right, guys, let's move on to discussion. So first off, let's get into it. Let's get into Vargflocken Naxxramas Progression. I mean, it was another rough week, right?
Yeah, listen, I mean,
Stuff.
Tuesday, absolutely terrible. Well, actually, we
it
started
was
out
awesome
really good.
for like an hour and
We
45
started out
minutes.
good.
Yeah.
Then we hit we decided to go to 4 horsemen before we did Spiderwing, which we normally do, which we normally never do. We usually save 4 horsemen to see how much time we have left to do. We wipe about 3 times. We have an accidental pull, and everyone just gets into that mindset of like, okay, I'm super done here. So with 30 minutes left, we go to Spiderwing. We wipe on a Nubercon. I think we wipe on some trash, or like we're at least dying on the trash.
I don't think we've ever wiped on a Nubercon either.
I hate to say it, we've wiped twice on a Nubercon before.
Oh, before that, okay, so 3 times total, but not for weeks though, right?
No, it's just like it always happens. Like when we're in a bad mood. Yeah, like people are just in a bad mood, or like people just are not focused, and
they
we
love
just
world buffs. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre because it's really not a fight that you wipe on. But we, beyond all odds, we overcome any obstacle in our way, and we wipe on bosses that you're not supposed to wipe on.
This is like the Gluth story, right? Like how we always wipe on Gluth. Like it's like we
Exactly.
shouldn't.
But
Which
this
we're
week,
good at Gluth now.
we absolutely demolished Gluth this week. It was great.
This week.
Oh, we decimated it. Why didn't I say that? We decimated Gluth this week.
Yeah, perfect.
Come on. Yep. Missed opportunity.
Well, actually, what people might not realize is decimate actually means to remove 10% of, right? When you decimate, or it's you leave 1/10 of it. That's what decimate doesn't mean, like destroy entirely.
No. Doesn't decimate take everybody to like 1%?
Well,
10.
I don't mean the ability. I just mean like in language, the word decimate came about because it's like decky. It's like to remove 10% of. So like old English when the word was invented. Correct me on Reddit, guys. Peace out.
Yeah, I feel like
So
you're signing yourself up for an apology tour here, but yeah, go ahead.
So so everything went really well with World Boss, which was nice. So that was really solid. We end up with Horseman, Saffron, and KT left for Thursday, which I think is just the normal expectation. We bring world buffs in. We have the best Horseman we've ever had. We had one death, and it was our main tank, so that was great. And the whole time I was thinking, like, why did he die? Like,
Wasn't he the
we
only
did the
one not
thing-
world buffed though? Because he died on his way in? You talking about executive or corpse?
No, I'm talking about corpse.
Oh,
it was
Oh,
corpse.
you're right. So executive died on the way in. So our other main tank died on the way in, and then had no world
Right.
buffs. But I'm talking about corpse. So the entire time I was like, but why did corpse die on 4 horsemen? No one else died. So that's really bizarre. And then later I find out he tried to jump over a void zone like a superhero and ended up dying.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
So
see
it
the
wasn't
void zones.
I was like holding my breath here, being like, if you blame this on the healers, yep, I'm gonna have
Yeah, well, I mean,
I was like, and
thing
if you
with
tell me you
the-
watched the replay and it was my fault, I'm just gonna ignore you altogether.
it's the-
Sorry, go Bob.
yeah, the things with the void zones, which he just, I mean, he was thinking about when they pop under you. When they pop under you, you have a pretty good amount of time, like a second and a half, to move out of it before it activates. But once it activates, it does damage instantly when you walk through it. And so he was probably thinking he could get through it without a tick, you know?
Yeah, it's just you when Corpse Daddy dies, like he's one of our best players. He's very, very knowledgeable. So I almost never assumed that he made a mistake. So I was like, how did he die that early on 4 Horsemen when we're doing the burn strat? And like, just doesn't make any sense. So
And
it was
he
good
always,
to find out.
Yeah, he always cops to it when he screws up, and I always respect it when people do that.
So it was good to know.
Does he? Because I didn't know that until Yip told me.
Well, we said
Well,
it
yeah,
over
he-
Discord.
Did he
Yeah.
on that fight? He said it
Mm.
after.
Oh no,
later.
he said it when we were having our
Yeah.
our little
Yeah, he
party
did.
afterwards.
He waited till later.
Oh,
So then we
yeah.
go to Saffron. Saffron went swimmingly. The only people who died sat in Blizzard the whole time, I think. I think that's pretty much the only people who died. I was on the wrong side, so Bingo had to sit under the boss to heal me.
I almost went to
You
the
were on
wrong
the
side.
wrong side? Yeah.
So-
Because we changed it up. I mean, I've just been on the left the entire time.
Okay.
I was
Right
walking
before-
out.
Everybody said, look at your groups. Your groups might be different from the last week.
I was the one who
I
said it.
only heard that right when we walked in.
yeah.
Someone said it right when we walked in. And I was like,
It
oh
was
shoot,
Yip,
I'm on the
and
right
he
side.
went to the wrong side.
Oh my god,
right
really?
at the end, right before. So first of all, I was annoyed as heck because it took us 15 minutes to get ready because everyone's logging out and logging in. 80 people forgot their frost res gear. We're summoning people. We're waiting for someone to come in. Then he dies on the way in, and I'm just like, can we just pull? And then as we're going in, I'm like, wait, there's one of the people who's not in the raid is in a priest group. So I start moving people around, and then our raid leader, Harscare, he's been on the podcast before, starts moving people around, and we're just fighting each other on who we're moving
Oh
back
my
and forth.
God.
And I got confused about where I ended up. I just didn't read check where I ended up. I thought I was in group 1 with Corpse, but I wasn't. And then I just messed up. So it didn't matter. I lived. Bingo dealt with it. He's a good guy. He dealt with it. And Saffron goes down super easy, just a couple of deaths. Then we get to KT. Kel'Thuzad. High Lich of I don't know. And
Yep. Keep going. Yep. Keep
the-
going.
ruler of Naxxramas, the floating necropolis. And we kill him.
Yeah, our guild
We
leader did a really smart thing. He made a chart that showed, I mean, it was the most important for,
Okay,
let me
okay.
finish. It was the most important for the ranged and the healers because they actually knew where to go at that point. Like, like melee kind of has to move around at times, but the main tank, whoever was main tanking at the time, did a really good job of repositioning for the most part. It was a really good, it was a really good idea to have that though. But you were gonna say, Mel?
I was just gonna say, can we have a little bit of a party for the fact that we killed KT? Like, come on, guys!
we got to lead into it
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just said we killed him. You just said we killed him.
Hooray, we killed him, but we didn't
Oh
kill him the
man,
best we
we're
could have.
so
Now,
excited.
listen,
Guys,
it's
we beat
it's
the
awesome.
game. We beat the game.
We beat the game. We did it all.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
done.
it is really exciting. I mean, some tips and tricks for people that are struggling. So what worked for me the entire time was just praying, please, please, I don't want to have to go rebuff. Please, can we just kill him here? Bingo died to a void zone in the first 30 seconds. So,
I
calling him out.
well, it's a bingo thing.
He did tell me what happened. He minimized to pause his Spotify and then in that time got void zoned. So
Oh
that's pretty
wow!
great.
Listen,
Someone needs to
bingo.
get him a
It's just
second monitor.
He's skipping the song. He's
like Stoof says, it's just bingo things.
just
You
bingo
know,
things.
just bingo things.
But
Bingo's a real person.
we do get it down. I have to give it up to the priest, did an awesome job shackling at the end. Despite things going horribly wrong at the end, people started dropping and priests were dying, but marking the guardians as they came out and knowing which ones needed to be shackled, I think helped a lot. It made it really easy for the other priests who needed to shackle once a couple people died. They just knew just shackle one that's marked. It's that simple.
Right.
So it worked out really well. Yeah, KT dropped. We didn't have a bunch of people up and alive, but I think that's pretty normal with KT. He's a pretty hectic fight. And yeah, we killed Kel'Thuzad, Vargflocken, from the first week of Ragnaros all the way to KT. We did it. We stuck together. And
at 18%, I got to take Kel'Thuzad for 0.5 seconds.
Did you die?
I died taking aggro.
Nice. Well, if it wasn't for your sacrifice, who knows what would have happened?
Oh man, but yeah, it was really cool. It seems once you get down to the burn phase, as long as you have some melee still up, you can really do it pretty quick.
Listen, I had my shackle, the bug that I was shackling was to my right, and I had it shackled, and I was in my spot that I was supposed to be in, and I'm healing, and watching the shackle timer, seeing if it gets unshackled, and there's so many people getting damaged on the other side of me that I can't go help, and it's literally just eating me from the inside, right? I'm like, oh god, I just want to run over there and just give him a heal. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced.
I think there's a key moment that made or braked our run. So with KT, you have to have your melee spread so that you don't all get ice blocked and die. However, during a repositioning phase, every single melee got ice blocked. So it should be about 15 people, which is a huge problem.
Well, it was
every single melee.
It was everybody but me, and that's why I took that's when I took aggro. Or a little after that's when I took aggro. But it was everybody but me and Bradshaw, I think. And we were just a smidge to the right of our group. So I mean, just
15
a smidge.
People. I think 15 people got ice blocked, but our healers kept every single person up, and no one ice block died. And that was huge because that was pretty early on in the fight. That was we could have just wiped.
You think
right then?
Do you think because so Meldron and Def Camp in the after show or after later found out the information on their melee and how much frost res they were using. We tried the first time to
frost
use 100.
Res doesn't help ice block.
So it doesn't actually help that part.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
But we did go full frost res on our melee, which might have made things a little easier. We might have been topped off a little better because of that.
Yeah, so that was awesome. We've got to give it to the healers there for getting everything down. We had priests in all the melee groups, And I think that really does help, just having a priest who can prayer. I don't know if any of them prayed, but I'm just gonna it helps, whatever, you know. I'll just assume they did, and
I
it worked
prayed.
out really well.
I wasn't in a melee group, but I prayed.
Well, all right,
See?
that's good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mel. I really appreciate it. But we did it. Like, we killed Kel'Thuzad. Like, we did all the content, and it's pretty exciting. We got a Gressel, which was cool. We got the healing mace, and I have to finally shout out my homeboy, Bubble Hearth.
Bubble.
One of the people that I started playing Classic WoW with, the only person who stuck with me this entire time, got his healing mace. He's been holding onto his DKP since the end of BWL. He was hoping for the Cthulhu mace. We have 0 to this day Cthulhu maces that dropped.
We're aware.
And our guess was that there would be 0 KT maces that dropped also, but first kill, he got it. 103 DKP. We get 12 a week with a 5% DK every week. So we're talking about probably, 12-ish or if not more weeks of DKP for someone that high up in there. So
Yeah,
that's
grats
really good for
Bubble.
him.
Yeah,
Huge
and
I
I
for him.
was
mean,
like,
it's going to be a weapon
s-
that scales for a long time in TBC too, so it's super cool.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking
right, I saw it come through and I was like, 103. Okay, well, that's just not even an option.
yeah, he got, I think that weapon was 140 plus healing bonus just in a single item. So that's like
Or
absolutely
like maybe
insane.
I could just use that and not even have an offhand and still have,
Exactly, you could.
better
It really
stats.
is. It really is insane plus healing on that. So that was really exciting. More, I don't know if it's time to move on. I think it is, but more exciting than even a healing mace. Our kill of KT allowed our wonderful officer, guild druid Jasmine, was able to craft Atiesh.
Whoop, whoop.
This week, he got all 40 shards. I think on Tuesday he did. And then we kill KT the same week, and we head over to AQ, and we make Atiesh a druid with it, which I think is pretty rare overall, but where he earned it. He deserved it.
He
And that was like,
definitely earned it.
that's as exciting as a KT kill. I mean, it was a lot of fun to go help him make. We went over to Stratholme after we did AQ, and we fought Atiesh himself in Strat. Very difficult boss. You have to bring 2 healers, which I thought was like, oh, you have to bring 2 healers. You have to bring 2 healers.
It was
like,
nuts, man, watching it.
it's absolutely nuts how hard that fight is. It was like it took minutes. Like, it was like a long time to get him down. And then when we finally did, that was super exciting. We went down to Gadget Zan, to the Caverns of Time in Tanaris, because we were told there was some role play we could see. There wasn't any role play. He just turned in a quest and got Atiesh. So that was cool. But
Yep.
what was cool,
I had watched it before. I'd watched Diff Camp's Guildy get it, and I didn't want to burst your bubble, so I just let you guys go.
he knew there was no RP, but we went down anyway. We got to take the Karazhan port. So I think we got some pictures of the people who went and killed Atiesh. We hung out in Karazhan. It was just it was a really exciting night. Like, getting KT down, getting the guild Atiesh. Like, it was just a really, really good night. And
Yeah.
you don't get a ton
It
of
was.
those in Classic
Like,
WoW anymore.
the excitement when we killed KT, like, even, like, when he was at, like, 10%, everybody's like, "You guys, come on, we got this. Yeah, we can actually do this." Like,
Yeah.
it was, like, so surreal for everybody, I feel like, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Yeah? Yeah? Really?"
Yeah, I'll
Like
definitely. I'll throw a Twitch clip of the end of the fight. Maybe I'll be able to find one of our other guildies. Ashley was streaming too, so maybe I can find her clip also. I'll try to include those in the show notes for you guys if anybody is interested. But we definitely yelled and screamed, and it was pretty cool. Although, guys,
Yeah.
chat wants us to talk about the Twin Imps wipe.
Yeah, so I foresaw this. So we're riding this KT high. We go into AQ because you have to kill Cthulhu in order to get some piece of Atiesh. So we go to do that with Jasmine. And we're having a blast. We're breezing through it. No one's got buffs anymore. We're just hanging out, having a good time. And as we're doing this, in my head, I'm not paying attention at all. Like I'm being horrible. Like I'm barely tanking. And if I am tanking, I'm just
I'm
sort
like
of running
falling
around.
asleep.
Yeah. I'm just doing whatever. And the whole time I'm thinking, we're gonna wipe on Twin M's. Like we're having way too much fun
Yeah.
right now. And
The
Twin
whole
M's is
time
like,
I'm thinking is like, I'm doing this for Jasmine. I'm doing this for Jasmine. Like that's all going through my head. Like I'm trying to keep myself awake. I'm like, this is for Jasmine, and I love Jasmine, so we're doing it.
I was stoked. I mean, AQ has a lot of great gear in it still, and people still need tier 2.5 and stuff. Like, really, we should still be doing AQ. Like, if we raided for a little longer or had a third night of raiding, AQ is something that like we really should be doing if we want to gear people up. So doing an extra AQ didn't feel bad at all. We didn't really get any astounding pieces of gear or anything like that, other than Atiyesh. But I knew
I
that Twin
did.
Amps was going to be tough.
Like the only bad piece of gear I still had was bracers. I was using the ZG bracers that you get from the quest, like the 3 tribal pieces, and so I finally was able to get bracers. I way overpaid for them, unfortunately, but either way, now I'm basically sitting on a gear set that it's slight upgrades besides KT weapons. So I'm sitting pretty good, so I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, so we do go on to Twin Imps, and we fail miserably the first pull. I like things were broken and wrong from like the first 20 seconds. I don't really know what went wrong. I mean, like our tank died a couple of times.
It definitely
People
wasn't
were
the
pulling.
healers.
Yeah, I think ranged. I don't think it was the healers at all. I think ranged, like pulling aggro on Veclor or Vecnalash, I don't know. And things were just a mess. But after that, we got it together and we killed him like we normally do. But Twin Imps really is kind of a step up. That was the boss I was most afraid of going into AQ. It wasn't Cthulhu, it was Twin Imps, because it's just like they heal when they get near each other. It's just such a bizarrely hard fight.
Oh, dude,
It's like the first time mechanics exist in Classic.
It's a fight. We went to do some sort of achievement in Wrath, and so we were geared through. I don't know why I could never remember the name of the raid, but we were mostly geared through the second raid, the one.
Blackwing Lair?
No, in Wrath.
Oh, in Wrath. Oh, I have no
the
idea.
second one with Yogg Sharon. But we were geared.
Old War.
We were super geared. We went in there with 25 people, and everybody was like, let's just burn through it. Some people were like, no, dude, this mechanic, we can't just burn through it. We tried twice to burn through it. We're like, okay, I think we're actually going to have to do the mechanics for this, because it just, you can't overpower it even at level 80 and raid geared.
I'm going to say something kind of controversial here.
Okay.
Only tangentially related to what Bob's talking about. So killing KT was exciting, but at the same time, I also knew we could do it with world buffs. So we had gotten like a 20% attempt with no world buffs. So in my mind, I was like, we're definitely getting KT down, and I was stoked about it for sure. And I think I yelled. That was great. I think I was more stoked the first time we killed Viscidus, though. Viscidus is he's such a bad guy. I hate Viscidus so much. And when we finally killed him, I was just like, yeah, die forever, Viscidus. Like, I hate you. You cost so much money. Like KT, we didn't wipe enough on him for me to feel like I'm glad we got everything done. It like signifies that we did everything. But like KT, I mean, I don't know. Like every time I kill 4 horsemen, I'm just as excited because like these fights are so mechanically intense. KT, I believed in us. I believed in us so much. I knew he was going down.
I knew we would kill KT. I just didn't think we would kill KT as quickly as we did. I didn't think we would kill KT and still have time to do AQ.
Yeah, and
right,
still
that's
have
the big thing.
And still have like ticking time on world buffs too.
Yeah, well, that was really awesome.
Mel didn't have ticking time on world buffs because Bob got me world buffs this week, and Bob maybe had me at the island, went outside, left, and then I got logged out. So when he logged back in, I only had an hour and a half on my world buff.
Wow.
And then I did the exact same thing with
And then he did
Ani.
the same same thing with Ani.
I wasn't AFK.
Started the raid with 49 minutes on my ZG buff, and I'm like, oh my god,
dude.
And then
I logged her in for Ani,
no.
and then
Let me finish.
she
let
got
me
the
finish,
buff,
Let me finish.
and then I forgot to log her out.
Yeah, he did, and then So I'm sitting there thinking, like, should I try to get rebuffs? Like Thursday before raid, I was like, should I try to get rebuffs? Because he kind of got them, but not really. I was like, no, we're probably gonna wipe on Saf or Four Horsemen. Like, I don't 45 minutes. That's probably enough. Nope. We got to Saf, and it was like 15 minutes left, and I was like, oh no.
Close enough. Almost close enough. The only time I've done something like that is on Thursday you don't really need all of the buffs. I mean, 45 minutes is way too short, but you don't need the full 2 hours. So I've got a room for gaming and a room for work. So I work downstairs so that I'm just like not distracted by my gaming PC. So I decided to fly to Ironforge because like I didn't feel like getting on my mage and like porting myself over to Ironforge. And I was like, the 7 minutes max or whatever I'm losing on my world buffs doesn't really make a difference for a Tuesday or for a Thursday when we only have like 3 bosses to do. So I fly myself to Ironforge, get a little distracted, and then I go downstairs and I'm working, and I'm like, I never logged myself out in Ironforge.
Oh no!
I'm just sprinting upstairs. I'm like, gotta log out, and then I was able to log out. I probably missed like 15 minutes on my buffs.
And you just happened to be talking to me in DMs about the podcast or something, and I was like, dude, log in, Ani, 1 minute, and you're like, oh my god, that was huge.
Yeah, that happens. That was really helpful for world buffing. You're like, hey, there's Ani in a minute, and again, I'm like, shut my laptop, and I'm sprinting upstairs to get Ani. And world buffs, I'm not gonna miss them. I'm not gonna miss them. This scramble, I don't think the scramble is as crazy as like some people try to make it out to be. Like, getting world buffs is the worst thing ever. It takes hours and it's awful. But it is, man, I hate having to think about it. Having to be like, when's it gonna drop? What do I still need? I hope I don't get dispelled. Like, it is just like a drain.
I just hate having to get used to not playing my main character is what I hated the most.
I mean, that's not even what I hated. It's just like the amount of time that I have to sit in, the island to get ZG buff. And I'm like, okay, come on, like somebody drop it. But you don't ever know. And there's not like a time on when it's going to drop. It's just somebody drops the heart.
Well, no, there is. If you get on the White Main Discord, there's a world buff channel, but it's still a pain in the ass.
Is like a hot mess. It's like a hot mess.
Recently, it's been horrible. People are like fighting with each other, and like there's so much extra talking. It used to just be like, dropping Ani at this time, gonna do this at this time. Is that confirmed? Yes, it's confirmed. Now there's like you have to like scroll up to find when people are like actually dropping something. Everyone's saying they might drop this if this happens. I'll drop a head for 400 gold if someone does a heart at this time. And I'm like, I cannot keep up with this Discord anymore.
Right. Oh. It's like, did somebody drop a heart at that time? I don't know.
We also didn't talk about getting to kill Sarth after raid.
Yeah, so Sarth has been a menace lately on White Main, going to Booty Bay and murdering people, and then after raid, he's just in the Mage Tower with like I don't want to say 15, but there's probably like 12 or 13 horde in a raid together, just taking over the Mage Tower. So after raid, we actually had a really exciting night. We kill KT, we get out of bed, we do a Gar binding run, which resulted in nothing, and we end up in Stormwind, and there's just like a massive world PvP going on in Stormwind, and we had to rally the forces. It was actually cool because we rallied the forces. It was our raid that came and brought everyone.
Did Zilzak come?
Zilzak did come. We summoned him there.
Obviously,
with Zilzak came. Soul Shard. Zilzak came, but we had to get some outside help. There were so many of them, a bunch of rogues and shamans, and they had people rezzing that we actually had to get just outside help. I think we ended up with like 25 people at the peak, and we went in there and we took Mage Tower. Eventually, it fizzled out after Sarth left and things like that. It was pretty fun. I don't support, and Bob and I disagree on this a little bit, I don't support killing AFKers in Booty Bay waiting for their heart. I think it's phase 6. I think just let people get their stupid world buff so they can go do Nax. World buffs are
Listen, they
so
can
required
also
for
get it
Naxx.
dead, but they can get it while they're dead.
Hold
Oh,
on,
not in
yeah.
Booty Bay.
Hold on. We might have had a miscommunication on this. I think it's okay if someone has buffs for people to try to kill them to take those buffs. Now, if someone doesn't have buffs and is just sitting there on the island AFK, I think that's lame. And I think dispelling buffs is lame. But if you actually try to kill somebody, I think that's fair game. It's World of Warcraft and it's a PvP server. You know what I mean?
Listen, to be fair, people kill me all the time on the island. So if I see a horde on the island and I have backup, I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's kill him because they kill me all the time and I
We're
can't get
not
my
talking about.
Xanthas and I can't double pop my Xanthas and it's really annoying.
Listen, the island is owned by Horde. You go there at your own risk. I'm talking about in Booty Bay. Like you're sitting in Booty Bay and you got
Fair.
3 rogues who have no lives and they're just there killing people one at a time, vanishing and getting away, running in the water. Like, listen, man, I get it. And previous to Naxx, sure, but Naxx requires world buffs. I just think that it's just like, dude, like people are at work, people are just trying to get their buffs to get Naxx down. Like we've just been doing this so long. I'm just tired of it. Like it's
Yeah.
just tiresome.
I
Personally,
think the problem
I
is
wouldn't
that
do
they
it.
don't have the same respect for you as you have for them. So
I mean,
you
listen,
either take
I-
yourself down to that level.
I think Sark's a good guy, and like I went into his chat, and he'll not kill you if you say hi, and he'll not kill you if you like /wave. Like he's a good guy, but it is just like, man. And at night, what he was doing in Stormwind, I think is awesome and a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that was so
I just
super
think
fun.
like if on like a Tuesday you're just out there murdering people, it's a little much.
Yeah.
However, the one exception.
Well, hold on. It's not something I would do though, but it's just not something that I can say shouldn't be allowed or is bad.
I'm not. No, I'm saying it's bad. I'm saying hordes are zugs, and they they don't deserve to. I mean, listen, I'm not saying
You
it
think
shouldn't be
it's
allowed.
just Horde that does it? Come on.
No,
man.
I'm just saying that it's that sort of
It's
stuff
mainly
that like
Horde, let's be real, and Zilzag.
it inconveniences people's like real lives too much. I feel like people who are just trying to get buffs so they can raid. It's just sad. Like it's just like I feel bad about doing that sort of thing to people. So I think people who do that and are just like they have no empathy, which makes sense.
I get that, but at the same time, we're on a PvP server, so like you
Yeah,
do
but I
sign
think
up for that to an
not
extent.
really.
Like
In Booty Bay, you don't sign up for that. I don't think
but
towns.
you know that it's possible. Like that could happen.
I don't care. Cheesing, it's cheese, dude. Like if you're a rogue and you're just cheesing your way around guards, like I don't
Yeah.
think that is. And if you heal somebody who attacks, like
Yeah,
a
I
rogue
learned that the
accidentally,
hard
you
way.
get attacked. So like those sort of things, I don't think are the game's intentions for. Like
Yeah.
I just think that like towns not being safe
Like
is a
Booty
little.
Bay should be a safety spot.
The one
It should
exception.
be.
The one exception is a mage. There's this amazing mage who just can murder everybody who's AFK. Like he flame strikes and then just AoEs and he'll just kill everyone with low health at once. And I think that's hilarious. And he has these really complex macros for talking to people. Like I've never seen such complex like talk macros. I can't remember all of them exactly, but he'll literally be like, "Hey, are you mad that I'm killing you right now?" And it's just like, wow, how is the Horde saying this to me? Like he's literally just trash talking complexly while he's murdering everybody. And I have to respect the hustle, like 4 rogues unstealthing and killing one person. Like I don't respect that hustle. One mage killing like 20 people at once I gotta respect it.
Well, how about this? And maybe chat can help us out because there are some people from the guild in chat. Let's talk about some fun moments with Vargflocken over our time together. Let's reminisce a little bit. You have anything you want to say, Yip? A little story, maybe?
Well, it's been a long journey. I think that I'm excited to and kind of saddened by this fact of my own life, I guess. I'm happy I was a part of the first raid that Vargflocken did by themselves, and I have never missed a single raid until we've killed Kel'Thuzad. I've gone through this game since I guess like October, maybe early October was the first Molten Core we did, and then every Tuesday and Thursday I've been there. I think I was late for a single raid because of a queue one time. I was 5 minutes late for an MC. I remember logging in at 8:05, horribly ashamed and embarrassed. Um,
Yeah,
but
it looks
it's
like I was looking into it after we talked, yep, but it looks like I got in on like the 8th MC run is when I did my first run.
makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's still a long time. I don't think that I'm a more OG person than anyone else. Like Bingo is a staple of the guild, I consider, and he joined like right at AQ,
It
and that
yeah,
is
it
so like
it depends on how you define OG because I'm definitely, I mean, I got in the guild at level 5. I got in the guild
yeah.
before it merged. So I'm an OG in that situation, but then Mel and I, we had the trip to Europe and everything, and we we were about 6 weeks behind getting to level 60.
Yeah. So let's talk about the origin for us. I think it's kind of funny. I knew. So if people don't know, our guild Vargflocken is run by an Overwatch streamer. The GM's an Overwatch
And
streamer,
an
and I
ex pro player too, was in the Overwatch
yep.
League, was really big in the pro scene before the Overwatch League.
And we knew. So I started playing Classic with two people who I leveled like basically to 60 with, and we were originally going to have our own guild, but in like the mid 30s, I was like, this is not going to happen. Like 40 people and going through this entire game like this, I'm just not doing it. So we were looking for a guild, and right as I hit 60, we knew we weren't going to join. Varglian at the time was the name of the guild, and he was posting. IDDQD was always posting, and he sounded way too hardcore. They were like, "We're really serious gamers. Like, we're gonna be like a top guild, so come get in." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not. I don't know if I'm cut out for this guild. It's like a streamers guild, so like that already had some like negative connotation from like Faralina and the streamers who were gonna be on Faralina. So I was just like, I'm not gonna. We're not. There's like if there's only one guild I ever thought this about, and it was Varglian. I'm not joining Varglian until the two people that I started with. I had just hit 60. There, we were a Fury Warrior, a Holy Paladin, and a Warlock. And I see IDDQD in trade chat saying, we are looking for our last 3 spots, a Holy Paladin, a Warlock, and a Fury Warrior. And I was like, okay, like
That's
is
just
that not just
destiny.
fate? It's actual destiny. Like that is exactly our 3 classes. My friends weren't 60 yet, so I had just hit 60 the night before. I think they were like 55 because I abandoned them and to hit 60 on my own.
Of course you
And
did, yep.
of course I did. I just listen. If you want to go pick herbs, I want to go hit 60.
Listen, you have to pick herbs. They are beneficial. Get over it.
Listen,
Yeah.
it
Well,
is.
and that's
It is. What it is.
funny because for Mel and I, we got in the guild early. It was 2 of our podcast friends, not Rob, and I play games that do the Omnic Lab podcast, and they told me
Overwatch podcast.
Omnic Lab. Yeah, it's an Overwatch podcast about strategy and stuff, but they got us in, and Rob tells me that it's the real. There was another streamer that was in our guild at the start. I forget his name, but a big streamer that was in our guild, and he was like, "That's the real one. I've seen him playing on our server on stream, but pretty sure IDD is not the real IDD." And Mel and I, had been doing the Overwatch League recap podcast, and we'd had at that point interviewed tons of players. Like I was actually pretty good friends with AKM, or still am. Just don't get to see him ever now because I don't go to events and stuff. But IDDQD was one of my favorite players. It still is, and I was a huge fan. And I was just like, this guy is not IDDQD. That is crazy. And I kind of believed it before BlizzCon, but I didn't truly believe it until I met him at BlizzCon. And I was always just so nervous around him because I was like, dude, I've watched you do all this stuff. Like I had a picture of him and me and Mel from BlizzCon, like 2017. And
I got to interrupt really quick just to clarify to people. This is not an IDDQD simp guild. This is not a fan guild.
No,
all of us rag on him
dude.
so much at this point. This is like
Yeah.
not.
Well, and
just to be clear.
Well, and some people didn't even know about the Overwatch scene, didn't even know about IDDQD, but I did. So he always made me a little nervous and a little anxious, and I'm just like, I've been watching you forever, and it was just hilarious, and now I'm still a huge fan, but I mean now it's weird to say I'm a fan because I know him so well now because we've raided for so long, but for the longest time he intimidated me so hard. But yeah, like I came in probably seventh or eighth MC run, and I came in fresh 60 that day. And I didn't expect to actually get in the raid, and I come Mortal Strike Spec, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna take some shit for this. And then I'm freaking rending, and like a warrior that was in our guild, Thrist, was like, hey dude, your DPS looks pretty good for Mortal Strike, but I'd probably stop rending. I was like, oh. And I was like, how did he know it was me? It was because I'm the only idiot that's rending. I wish I had known how bad rend was while I was working up. But so, yeah. And so then later that night, IDDQD sends me a DM, and he's like, hey, man, so we really loved you coming on the raid. But yeah, we're going to need you to respect a Fury. And I was like, oh, yeah, dude, I'm totally going to do it. My bad. I didn't think I was going to get in. I didn't research specs. I haven't played Fury yet. He was probably like, this guy's gonna suck.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. Early Varglian was definitely interesting. I don't think we weren't so hardcore though. We all thought we were more hardcore than we were, because I think ID kind of sold it as like, we're all mythic raiders. We're gonna be the top tier guild, and so everyone's like a little bit nervous until we realize it's like we have like a few really good players. But we're not
Yeah.
so serious. Like no one's like freaking out at each other.
So
Like
I
no one.
joined. Yeah, I joined and I thought like, oh man, we're joining this hardcore guild. Like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's do it. And I remember getting in and being like, well, so there's a healer chat, but like who's the priest officer? Like who do I ask? And at the time, the healer officer was a priest. And so I was like, okay, well, yeah, it's a priest officer, right? And then I find out like then it's like, oh wait, there's like he was like everybody's officer? Oh, okay. So who do I ask now if I have questions about priest stuff?
Dude, I was so
And
confused when first thing I asked is who's the class officer and what's the warrior class channel chat, and they're like, we don't have one. I was like, that seems weird. Every guild I've ever been in's had one. Like, who do I ask questions to?
Yeah, what we had is a private server player who was really good, who would basically make fun of you until you were better. He would rag on you so hard until you got better at being a warrior.
To be quite honest, Perky's and Executive were the two biggest teachers for me for learning the warrior, and I'll be forever grateful for that. Like constant DMs, questions, them sending me links. I mean, it was very helpful for me growing as a warrior player because I had never done it before. There was no practice dummies. I just had to learn and research a lot.
Yeah, I've never really played a melee DPS like at all in WoW, so it was pretty new to me. I was planning on tanking, so my warrior was made to tank, and then in the mid 50s, I was like, I guess I'm Fury DPS, and I kind of lucked out that they're just really good. But struggling, man, I was very mediocre when I joined because I knew the basics, and I was like, yeah, okay, but I wasn't like full consuming. I wasn't like doing everything I needed to do to parse as hard as Perky's. And I just can't struggle in mediocrity like that. It's so frustrating to like put in forth a strong effort and be rewarded with like being the third on the DPS list of the warriors. I'm like, I can't. I think I'm doing my best, but I'm not. Like, if I'm a DPS, I need to do my best. So,
right. I also feel
Perky's
like
also taught me a lot.
it's easier to see your progress as a TPS, I feel like, than as a healer.
Definitely.
And like you really have to dive deep into it to see your progress as a healer because you can be like out healed by other people and that's fine. But you could also look at their healing and then realize like, oh, okay, you were out healed by them, but they had 50% overhealing, which okay, so actually you healed better than them. So you have to look at those things too. And I think that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work that a lot of people don't
Well,
put in.
And there's something kind of bad about the DPS progress. So lots of the top parsers will do wrong things in fights to parse harder. Like Perky's first 99 parse on the first boss in Molten Core, he actually told a couple healers that he was going to do it to make sure they prio healed him, and then took aggro so that he could get more rage to actually blow up all of the mobs at once instead of single targeting, the correct mob first. He was targeting the boss first. And so it's what a lot of it kind of is a bad thing, because and that's why a lot of
Right,
the
like they're
really good
inflated
guild
for
yeah, and that's why a lot of the really good guilds like Onslaught week 3, they like wiped on a bunch of stuff in Dax they had wiped on before, probably because DPS was trying too hard to get that extra parse. So there'll be a lot of people that'll tell you that.
But before Nax, this is all we had. Like the game for a guild like ours,
fair. Yeah.
I'm gonna caveat a guild like ours. It's so boring. Like it was so easy. All the content has been so easy. What else is there to do but try to parse in every ridiculous
Right.
way that you can? Because like, okay, time to kill Gar again. I'm like, oh, okay, like like who cares? So like it does make sense that like at the time we were all just like struggling to do whatever we could to parse. I mean, like, we weren't so serious that people were like sappering and doing stuff like that in order to get higher parses for the most part. Maybe like one week you would. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, what else is there? Once you've cleared a Molten Core week 1, which is week 1, we full clear Molten Core in a single night, which I think is not unusual, but it's like, okay, what now? Like,
Well, and it's
there's
like trying
multiple
to
phases.
keep people interested that already have all the gear they need from there. And that's hard, right? Like Molten Core went on forever. BWL went on forever, it felt like.
Well, who
And
do
I
we
know that's not
have?
the case with everybody.
I'm trying to think of people in the raid, because we did. I mean, think about how many people have been in Vargflocken and have raided for at least a few weeks across the board. I mean, we probably had 120 people over the time, maybe
Yeah.
100.
Oh, no, over 100 for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
We have a going roster. I wonder if I can find it real quick to see that info. But we've had a lot of people come and go. Wouldn't surprise me if the number was closer to like 150 or something like that. It
Yeah.
really was like, I don't want to say a revolving door because it's lasted so long.
That's
Like
why
we have been.
But there's been like
you've got a raid.
staples,
Yeah,
right? There's been like the staple, like concrete core, and then there's been in and out people, right? And some of those in and out people came in and became staples, like bingo. But some of them came in, like Soul Surge, did great, and then
Well, it
died
seems like
apparently.
it seems like if someone comes into the raid and they don't talk much, it's going to be a while before I actually remember their name and remember who they are. But there are people that come in immediately and you know who they are. Like Kim Jong-un, I knew immediately who he was because he was such a big personality. And then Steel Wolf, when he came in, he was such a big, fun personality that you just knew him immediately, and you want to hang out with these people. But some people come in, they're silent, and I might not even have never known they were in our guild. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many
Okay,
people.
I've got a tentative number. So this is toward the end of BWL. I think we started taking a look. It could have been as late as maybe early AQ with a couple like extra additional names on here, but it's missing a lot of the people in phase 1 through 3, and there's 94 people on this roster list, including the people who quit, and it's missing easily 30 people. So we've probably gone through 120 at least people, which is pretty pretty exciting. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I don't think that's crazy. A 40-man guild going through that many people I don't think that crazy. And we have a lot of people who've been here for a very long time, which is cool. And we've got a couple people. I don't think I'm the only one who has been here for like almost every raid at least, maybe missing one or two. So we've got a lot of people who have been
I've
uh
only I've only missed, it's either 3 or it's somewhere between 3 and 5. 2 of them were during a move. Then like I just didn't have internet, and then two of them were when I was out of town for Christmas one time.
Imagine going out of town.
Right?
um,
I was there, guys, holding down the fort. No, I'm just kidding. I've probably missed more than Bob, but not as much. Like, if I can make it, come on. I raided from a hotel.
the last story I want to tell, because I don't think we've talked about it before. I think I've only briefly mentioned it. It's the fact that Vargflocken is not the first name that we've had. So I figured now would be a good time to
Varglin?
explain why we're named Vargflocken now. So first of all, we just mentioned the guild is run by a Swedish person who named it Varglian originally, which I think is like the name of his kindergarten or something like that. And it means like wolf's lair, I think, or wolf's den. And yeah, so he just named it something that he liked, and it's Swedish, and that's great. However, my first week or two in the guild, I decided to Google what Varglian meant. And as soon as you Google Varglian, the first and only thing you're going to find is that it is the name of one of Hitler's headquarters. So
What?
Wolf's Lair is actually attributed almost exclusively to Hitler.
Yeah, the Wolf's
So
Den. There was a Tom Cruise movie about that specific complex.
yeah, so if you Google Varglian, you can still go ahead and see that information there. So I was like first uncomfortable about it. I actually messaged somebody. I remember being like, I don't remember who I messaged, but I remember being like, hey, why are we named this, by the way? I just want to make sure I'm not in a Nazi guild by accident. Like, I wasn't sure. That when I had originally joined, I had heard two separate people throw out some gamer words that I wasn't particularly comfortable with. So I was like, I need to make sure I understand the culture of this guild I'm in before I stay. And luckily, with the full explanation, makes sense. But shockingly, a couple weeks after that, Blizzard actually forced a name change of the guild. And that's what surprised me the most, is that
I
it
didn't
wasn't
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guild name
Yeah.
just changed for me one day. We're just leveling. I'm like, oh, we're Vargflocken now.
Yeah, no, they made us
Listen, they were
change
so
it.
similar that it like felt the same, I guess. Like they were both things I felt like I couldn't pronounce.
At least I could remember Vargflocken. I could never remember telling people what guild I was in before.
Well, it's like Varglian sounded like, I don't know what that is. Vargflocken sounds like very Swedish. Oh, Vargflocken, you know, like it's got the multiple syllables going on.
You're the Swedish chef right now.
Exactly.
Oh.
So that is why we had to do a name change. I think it's on one hand, I'm glad we did the name change because it is the first thing that shows up when you Google it. Like, undeniably, if you Google Varglian, you'll see a first page exclusively about Hitler and Nazis. So I think that for recruiting purposes, I'm glad we made that change, because I wasn't like, there were a lot of people who were like, what? Why are we named this?
Well, and worst stuff
Like,
is maybe we get people we don't want because of that. You know?
right. Yeah, we're filtering the opposite. We're getting only the people who they're like, yeah, I get it. It's like, what do you get? We there's nothing to get. There's no secret meaning here.
Yeah, please don't say something that's going to make me uncomfortable.
But that's the story of Varglian to Vargflocken, and
then
it's been a ride, I guess.
Yeah, well then, so that was the guild IDD ran, and before Molten Core, you know, we formed with another guild, which was Harskar's guild. This is why we have two GMs, right? And so the two guilds merged into Vargflocken, and I don't know exactly when that happened, but I guess it was like somewhere where the highest level people were in their like early 50s, late 40s. Am I correct on that?
I think Harskar, yeah, I think they were in their 40s. I think they met in Arathi, the Arathi Highlands.
And
then
Harskar was a fan of IDD also.
Yeah, listen, we are not a fan guild of IDD Cutie. As much as Bob's like, I'm so nervous every time I talk to IDD. That is not the kind of guild where we are. But yeah, I mean, that's how it started.
We're just an IDD Cutie fan guild. guys, come join
Yeah,
us.
we're a streamer guild. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
We're a streamer
fine.
guild.
I
It's
mean, we're
actually funny.
technically not a streamer guild because I don't think IDDQD ever streams.
Yeah, he never
Wow.
he never streams WoW, and he never takes advantage of anything. He never takes gear that he wouldn't get, without DKP. I mean, that's
Oh,
never been a
yeah.
problem when
What
lots of
is
streamer guilds
interesting-
are.
I think that, like, especially for me, like, maybe there's a chance I could have been starstruck because I did play Overwatch and, like, I know about him and I watched his streams and stuff, so it's cool. But I played in the Classic WoW beta, and the Classic WoW beta was literally just like a series of meeting really famous people who just got handed keys. So
Well-
like I had a friend who works for Blizzard, so I got a key really early, and it's like you walk through Stormwind, and I begged Asmongold for gold. He gave me gold, and I joined his guild. I see Swifty right next to Asmongold, like, yo, what up, Swifty? Wow Hobbs, who's like a really old school YouTuber who used to make like Paladin AoE videos back in the day, used to be like my idol. And I got to hang out with him, and we played together a little bit, and that was really exciting. So like all that really cool like simping happened for me in the beta.
Well, and I mean that's the thing. That's why I tried to like point out the difference between IDDQD and most Overwatch League players. I mean, I knew a ton. Like, we know most of the huge Overwatch content creators. Like, we were in that scene, and like players didn't make me nervous. But IDD was one of my first favorite players before I even started content creating, and I'd never
Listen,
talked
I was
to him.
nervous.
And so
was nervous
it
to
made me
talk to
nervous
Bonnie.
because he was one of my he was one of the biggest. He was one of the players that I was the biggest fan of, and I had never talked to him before, and so that's why it made me nervous. And I always thought it was weird because I talked to so many players. But yeah, Mel got nervous when she first met Bonnie, but normally we didn't get nervous.
I didn't get nervous, but I fanned out and I like went to hug him. I was like, oh my God. And I went to hug him, and then he like was like, oh God, like super awkward about it. And then I was like, oh my God, like now this is gonna be super awkward. Like now I have to ask you questions, and you're like think that I'm like trying to hug you. I'm sorry. It was just a natural reaction.
My favorite interview was you and Surefour, and Surefour was just like, "Why is a girl interviewing me?" He was just looking at you
Dude.
so weird.
Oh my God.
Now,
Sure,
undeniably,
mm,
just moving on from this Overwatch nonsense no one
yes.
cares
Okay,
about.
fair.
Undeniably, now we are a Yip Simp guild. Every time someone joins the guild, they say, "What Yip is this the real you?"
Yeah, that's 100% not true.
I get
No,
to talk
we
to
are
you.
a bingo
Yeah.
simp guild. Come on,
I'm
dude.
sorry. They're like, I'm sorry, Yip who?
I know you
Sorry,
want to be the
bingo-
star.
I'm
I
sorry.
want to be the star.
No.
Mel wants to be the star, but Bingo's the star.
As
I don't
Corpse
want to
put
be the
it-
star.
As Corpse put it, Void Zone is the easiest, most obvious mechanic to avoid in the game. So I'm not simping for a man who dies to a Void Zone on our KT.
I mean, but we still love him.
All right. Well, does
He
anybody
brings
else?
us content every week. So thank you, Bingo. Mwah.
Does anybody else have any other stories they'd like to talk? Does chat have any stories that they want us to tell? Oh yeah, Ramsey's in chat.
I'll tell one last one. This isn't a story, more like an anecdote about two of my favorite people in the guild now. So when Bob was always quite the personality in the guild. Definitely one of those people where
Sometimes
it's like,
good, sometimes bad.
it's definitely like, Bob, this is push to talk. How are you able to talk this much? Kim joins and they're like, have you ever held two phones together on opposite ends and you talk into one and they just keep talking and it gets louder and louder as the sound keeps echoing through itself and it's just like a screech? That is like what Kim and Bob were in Molten Core when Kim joined. They would literally sing together. Like we'd be ready to pull rag, and they would just they would sing and get louder and louder. And it was like,
come on,
listen,
that
get
was
it. Like
when we were like running to Ani and stuff like that. It wasn't
No, it
during
was in
boss polls.
raid.
Not
in-
during boss polls.
It was definitely during
in
boss polls.
raid.
Oh, you
And
gotta
we would
pull
be
that
like-
during
up.
boss polls.
I get it. I get one line like, "Ooh, just a small town girl," you know, like, and maybe you'll say like, "Living in a like you'll
Yeah.
do one line.
Bobby
They just go
doesn't
through
know
the
when
whole
to stop.
song.
Yeah,
don't
Bobby
stop.
doesn't know when to stop. And then Kim provoked him. And then it's just a shit show from there, right? Like, and you can see me on the other end. Okay, so Bob sits 20 feet from me, right? And I'm like, the fuck? Dude, stop. Like, come on. And I'm literally losing my freaking mind because he's over here singing and I know how annoying it is because I'm in Discord. And I'm like, oh. And then I'm like sending Kim personal messages. I'm like, please stop, please stop.
And then
there's
other trolls in the guild that are egging us on
Is
too.
there?
Oh yeah,
for
there's
sure. No,
definitely.
they get baited hard. They still get baited. Not Kim as much. Bob gets baited a lot. But my whole point was two of my favorite people in the guild now. Phase 1, I guess maybe phase 2, because I don't remember when
You
Kim
couldn't
joined
stand
exactly.
them.
No, it's not I couldn't stand them. I just kept them at 5% in Discord was my meta. I had Kim and Bob at 5% in Discord for the longest time. Because listen, I could hear them still. But you just never knew when they were gonna get like 10 times louder and start talking. Like it wasn't just singing. Like sometimes they would just like get louder and louder sometimes. So like I'd be like, oh,
Oh man.
Yeah, I can't mute Bob on the other side of the room. So think of how I feel.
That was when raids were easy, so there's nothing to do but get inebriated and hang out.
Right.
Though, so like it wasn't like, oh, our progress is being impeded. And I mean, those sort of stories are why I think we love Bob and Kim so much.
To be fair, it's like I remember going to Nax and being like, oh crap, we literally shouldn't drink at all on Tuesday and Thursday. Like that's a bad idea now. Like it used to be fine. That is not okay now. Like,
Yeah,
I need
it's a
to
bummer.
actually be able to think.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even
Nax is
if
hard.
we do drink on a raid night now, it's like, well, we better start drinking just a half an hour before raid, and have eaten before. Like it's a whole drinking meta, but like usually we just don't drink now during raids, and it's kind of like something we enjoyed doing during raids, and so I'll be in raids and I'll be like completely silent, and everybody's like, Bob, you haven't talked. I'm like, yeah, I'm sober. Very different
I'm
person,
focusing.
sober.
I'm trying to parse.
Okay, to be fair, Bob's best like incompatible behavior with annoying raid was streaming. Like if he streams, he can talk to the stream while he's muted on raid, and then we don't have to hear.
He gets to
Right?
get out all those little comments he wants to make, and
Yeah,
good to
I
go.
mean, it's like the best of both worlds. But I will say, there's been a lot of amazing and wonderful people in Vargflocken that I have enjoyed hanging out with, and to be fair, Kim has been my, work game husband. You know how you have a work husband?
You have a work
Like
wife
Kim's
and a
my
work
game
husband.
Kim's my game husband, right? Like I love him. And I can ask him for anything and he's like always there. And he like always is there to help me. And I'm like, oh my God. Like he rolls off free flasks. I'm like, what's happening right now?
And we are passing that moment where drinking 30 minutes before the podcast is coming out now.
No, I love Kim. Kim, I don't want to marry you, but I
I'm
love
in love with you. I'd marry Kim.
I'm not in love with Kim. I love Kim.
Kim facing some harsh rejection on the podcast he wasn't ready for.
I'm sorry, Kim.
We
I'm
just
not
don't feel that way
in
about you.
love with you, but I
we
do
love you.
love you.
We're just not in love with you, Kim. You get it, Kim?
Yeah,
we
but
don't want to date you, Kim.
There's been tons of trials and tribulations, and I have definitely been on the wrong side of anger many times, and I just it makes me a little, it gives me a little teary when I think of like how hard the officers work to keep everything together, and I just want to say thank you to that. And so if any of are listening, and thank you.
Yeah, thank me more.
Yeah, everyone except for Yip.
I mean, it's been a ride, and I think we'll probably maybe like as TBC is coming out, or maybe it's something. I'm sure we'll have another like roundup of classic vanilla at some point where we'll get even into some of these even more dramatic stories, and we can finally talk about some loot drama that happened or something like that. But it's been a ride. and we're not done. We're not quitting raiding. We're going to be raiding at least until the TBC pre-patch, so there'll still be
what?
more adventures to talk
Yeah, I
about.
mean,
But
now, dude, now we
I'm
can
kidding, I'm
actually
kidding.
recruit. Like, we're 50 to 50. Like, people will be coming in droves easier, you know?
yeah, we're gonna make everyone fight for their spots. So careful, guys. We're gonna over recruit and kick everyone out.
No more singing, Bobby. You're sitting. All right, well,
Can we make that a rule? Can you enforce that?
We
that a
just are.
thing?
We're just more liberal with server mutes now. We'll just
Okay,
server
okay.
mute.
Okay, but
more
can
often.
I finish thanking a couple people?
Absolutely.
I know we're over time. Maybe.
no,
Yeah.
no, we're doing good.
I mean, I just think like all of the healers have been amazing, and to be fair, healer chat is like the bum. That's where you need to go to get content. But I can't share that because it's private, and we complain about all of you, DPS people and tank people, except for Corbs because he's in it. 'Cause we
Probably
love him.
rightfully so.
Yeah, we love him. But I think that I want to thank all the healers for everything. They've all honestly, they've all done their certain things. Like Ashley has helped me, Stoof has helped me, Bubble and I have a really good healer connect with our main tanks. And because we're always on the same main tank for some reason. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I'm not. Go on.
But I love everybody. Our healer group is amazing. And we are literally the best part of Vargflocken.
Our
in my
healers are
opinion.
amazing, and they've had to put up with a lot of people talking shit on them. And I don't think we've talked about this before, but we had a rogue. We're not gonna name him, but we had a rogue who straight quit the guild because he thought our healers were horrible. After in
Yeah.
Naxx just dying to personal mechanics over and over again all night, and it was
Yeah, if
super
you stand
bizarre.
in the whirlwind,
Yeah,
sorry,
our healers are
you
actually
die.
not only are our healers all good, some of our healers are insane. Like
Mhm.
Carpatron, Jasmine are some of the best they parse out of control for druids. They're just some of the best druids in the game. They're absolutely amazing. They know their class inside and out. They never cause problems. Our healers are always just so chill that there are people, it's not just healers. There's people in our guild FJ, and there are a lot of people who keep their head down, and they do such a great job. A rogue in our guild, Nobody, they just do so well, and they
But
never
they don't
cause
get
problems.
appreciated,
Yeah, they don't get
technically,
appreciated because
right?
people who cause problems end up getting a lot of attention, right? The people who have issues end up getting tons of attention. But all of these people who have done such an amazing job playing their role super well, they've kept their head down. Tubble's another great one. They keep their head down, do an awesome job for us, and it's what's gotten Vargflocken all the way through this and getting KT
And
down.
you know, and the healers get a lot of flank, but so do the melee. You know, and I don't know that our melee is actually as bad as we joke about sometimes. But
Okay, to be
hey,
fair,
let me
just
fin-
move
I
out of
let you
the.
finish.
Okay, but move out of
No,
the
melee
swirling
sucks.
sword.
Get outta here.
I
Okay,
let you
move out of the
finish.
swirling sword.
Oh my gosh,
come
Mel.
on. Okay, go. Sorry.
Alcohol. So, yeah. So the melee have done a good job too, and I think everybody's done a good job, and that's really what it boils down to. And the blame game can be an epic thing to jump into when you have 40-man rating. And now that we're in Naxx and there's finally a lot of personal things to watch, everybody screws up. The best thing you can do is not screw up the next time, and that's the most important thing. And I think our guild's been pretty good about people doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been good. We've got a really great crew of people, and Jedia, who is I guess a rogue in our guild, who knows melee. No, but
Yeah, you guys have to
our hunters.
identify yourself in Twitch chat, right?
No,
If you don't
it's
have
little
your
Jed. Don't
same
worry.
name,
It is
you
Jetty.
have to
Jetty is Jetty. But he pointed out that Buttercake and Zilzag, our hunters currently, are just amazing. I mean, they're so good, and it's not just in raid
they
pulling.
really are.
Yeah, it's not just in raid. It's outside of raid, they're huge PvPers. They'll come help you no matter what. Buttercake is like absolutely insane. He'll help me group with myself to mage part myself. He has a warlock. He'll summon you anywhere. Like, he's always super helpful. He summoned me to Stormwind when I'm like trying to buff, and even when I'm not even asking about it, like I'll complain that my flight might not make it to Stormwind, and he'll get on and summon me. So
Well, I mean,
we just have so
Buttercake
many amazing people.
even has a world first. I mean, he was the one that guaranteed that I finally, after years and years and years of doing Frogger, finally died. He ensured that happening with a snowball. It was
Yeah, he is
epic. It was epic. And then
Listen,
Zilzag, like, you can't say enough about Zilzag. The only gripe that I would have with Zilzag would be that he's the reason we lost Steelwolf by making Steelwolf play League of Legends, and Steelwolf was gone. So that's the only gripe I would have with Zilzag, but besides that, the dude's the man.
listen, I was so upset when I changed to Holy. I was like, but FJ, like, I can't give FJ this anymore. And then he like sent me the tell that like macroed onto his like spell the first time I respect Holy, and I was like, I'm sorry, I respect Holy. I don't have power infusion. He's like, that's fine. And I was like, no, I'm so sad.
I think
Like,
Ashley gives him PI now. I think he's still getting taken
okay,
care of.
okay,
Don't
Dude,
worry.
and
okay,
hey,
okay.
now that you mention it, another
Hey.
shout out to FJ and Ozzy Jules, who made sure
Yeah,
that they
for Healthstones.
yeah, they made sure they spec their Healthstones different so we can carry 2 during fights, and you, without even being prompted, they just give them to me, and man, that is so appreciated, because that's a lot of shards that they're going and farming before raid, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. And if we didn't shout you out here, if you're listening in our guild and we didn't shout you out here,
We
it's
love
because
you
you just
still.
didn't work hard enough. You just didn't work hard
No,
enough. You
There's
weren't
so
good
many
enough of a
people to
player.
shout
Don't listen
out.
to me. Yep.
You don't deserve to be mentioned here.
What? Okay, do you want me to go through the people that I want to mention?
No,
Because
no.
come on.
No, we're good. We're good.
All right,
That's
well,
not fair. I love you all.
in a final, not really a discussion, because we've talked about it a ton, but I want to make everybody who's listening aware that there's a big push at the moment for something that holds true to my heart, and that is a big push for dual spec. There was a huge Reddit post, and it turns out that a lot of people really want it. Some don't, but a lot of people really want it. Willie's made a video about it. Stay Safe has made one about it. I think Metagoblin, I just saw one out about it today, and I'm sure the others will follow. So one thing you can do is just let your voice be heard in any comments and any big YouTubers video. Like, let them know if you want it or if you don't want it, but it's something that we might actually get a chance to have if the community pushes for it enough. So please let your voice be heard. Even if it differs from my opinion, I don't care. Just let your voice be heard, because this is the time.
Okay, can I ask how many Reddit accounts did you make to make this like a super hype topic?
Only like 150.
Listen, I give up. I don't care. Like, after playing Classic so long, just give us all the quality of life. I don't care
Right.
anymore.
Like,
Give us all
whatever.
the quality of life.
It
We've
literally
done
makes
it.
no difference to me.
We did the no changes nonsense. Just give me all the quality of life at this point.
Yeah. Like, how about changes that improve life? How about we go for that? Like, not hashtag no changes, but hashtag quality of life changes.
I mean, to be
Okay.
quite honest, the quality of life changes I like. I just don't like the direction that retail went to.
We're not
push
ending this
the
awesome
player
podcast.
base. No, but to put the player base not on the same server, like those are the changes I don't want. I don't want, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I don't want cross.
Yeah, we're
server
not
things.
saying that everything needs to change. I'm saying I don't give a crap if you change dual spec or not. Like, whatever. That is insignificant.
Yeah,
To me.
dude, give me tri-spec. Like, I really just don't care at this
Yeah,
point anymore.
I'm over it. Whatever.
Just take away talents. We're done.
Yeah. Anyway, KT down.
Yeah, don't do that.
We just sucked.
Oh man!
All right, moving on.
So, we do have a story time. Mel, do you wanna take us into story time?
Yeah, this week we're doing a
Do
story time
I?
instead of an add-on of the week.
No, we'll do that.
Did
We'll
you
we'll do that
Nope.
right after.
Nah, we should
Nah,
just do the story
nah,
time.
nah. Did you send me the story time?
Oh, it's in the emails.
Okay.
We don't have to do
You
it if you
should
don't
have
want to.
told me you were
You're fine.
going to tell me to
You're
do
fine.
this.
I mean, I'll cut all of this from the actual final one.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I don't know where it is.
What's
Everyone's
up,
seeing the behind the
Melderon
scenes.
and IDDQD in chat and oh man, oh yeah, cut it.
Cut
Cut what?
story.
I want a story.
Hey guys, while we're waiting for the story, what's your favorite add-on you use?
Don't try to get content from
What
them.
add-on do you like to use? What's a unique add-on that not many people know about that you use? Pally Power. Wow,
That's
a
actually
good
pretty
one.
good. That's actually a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
Bob, what is the date of the story?
Oh, it's from Simon.
Simon.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
Okay,
his last
but
name.
wasn't there one before that?
No,
Did we
no.
not?
We did that
No?
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did
Alright.
that one. So he like followed up to it.
Okay. Do you want
Theorycraft
me to read
Classic.
both?
That is a really good Theorycraft Classic. Is a really good add-on.
Do you want me to read both?
Do you want to just skip this and maybe do it the next time?
Yeah, I mean we're at like 2 hours here.
Yeah, let's just do here. Now let's move into the add-on of the week.
So the add-on of the week this week is one sent us. Hold on, the add-on of the week this week is one sent to us by a really faithful viewer. A really faithful viewer wanted to tell us that Pally Power is such a really great add-on that they use all the time. So this is actually something that a guildie sent in as a suggestion for the add-on of the week during the live stream, which everyone should check out. If you haven't checked out our live stream,
On
we do it.
twitch.tv/mash those buttons.
Yeah, we're usually streaming here at 7:30 on Fridays, occasionally Saturdays, but you can check out the Twitter for when we're not. But Pally Power is actually super important. And if you're Horde and don't know about this, Paladin buffs are like the worst thing to manage in the world. I would have been a Paladin in Classic, I think, if Paladin buffs weren't 15 minutes long and just such a pain.
Well, and
just such a pain to deal with.
even explain how they work. Like most of these, buffs for like priests and everything else are group based, but paladin ones are not.
Yeah, they're class based. So you have to pick which one you're using for every class. So like there's might and wisdom is usually done by the same paladin, and you have to wisdom the people who want wisdom, you have to might the people who want might. If you're doing warriors and you put salvation on them, that also gets put on all the tanks. The whole thing is just such a mess. You can overwrite it with a 5-minute buff, so every paladin can actually do a 15-minute buff and then overwrite the people they want to with a 5-minute buff. So if somebody, like we only have 3 paladins, one of them will salvation and then blessing of light the tanks, and it'll overwrite the salvation. But it is just such a hassle to manage that without Pally Power, I mean, it just seems like a total nightmare.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good one. Another one we could point out to the mages is please get to cursive. I don't know where that came from. It just came from out of
Dang,
nowhere.
that sounded salty. Our mages actually did a wonderful job
Right?
decursive on Saffron this week.
Oh yeah, dude, they've done
a super
great.
good job.
I'm just saying, like, if you're a mage and you don't have decursive, you should probably look into that.
Did we?
Hey, Melee, learn to play, okay?
Yeah, at least it's about the melee, not the healers this time.
Oh man. All right, well, I think that's gonna do it for this week, guys. It's been an actual. I thought it was gonna be a short episode, but once again,
Of course you did.
once again, we have went the normal 2 hours. So cool. All right, well, where am I going here? I'm so tired from last night.
You're trying to say, yeah, we stayed up
stayed
all
up
night.
partying, just like we were all drinking. I don't think I've ever heard Yip that drunk.
First of all, I wasn't inebriated. It was 5 in the morning.
You were just
Like,
really
slap
tired.
happy.
I was so tired last night.
Oh man, but okay, so Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. And if you want to follow the Mash Those Buttons Network, you can do that by following at the Mash Network. We want your WoW stories. We'll read them sometime, I promise. Send them to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our Discord and interact with the hosts on this show or any show on the Mash Those Buttons Network, you can do so by going to mash.gg/Discord. Ratings and reviews, they help a lot, and you guys have been coming through like gangbusters, so thank you. Keep that up. You can leave them on Apple Podcasts. It helps a lot. I wish you could leave them on Spotify. You can't. If you don't want to do Apple Podcasts, you can go to warcraftradio.com/directory and leave a review there, and that helps too. It's just a, you can also find some other content you might really like. It's got all kinds of anything Blizzard podcast related is there, and you can see exactly what the shows are about. I definitely recommend checking that out. And I think that's it. Like we live stream on twitch.tv/mashthosebuttons every Friday at around 7:30 Eastern. And what's that? 3:30 Pacific?
4:30.
4:30 Pacific. Thank you, Yip. And
Anytime.
So yeah, please come and check that out. You can find us on every podcatcher that you can think of. And we thank you for listening. And Ryan, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/cognitivepit or on Twitter at cognitivepit. We're looking for your add-ons. It's no secret that I've been out of add-ons for about 10 episodes now. So if you have a cool add-on that needs some promotion, or you're an add-on creator and want a little signal boost, tweet at me. And I will. I'm out of add-ons. So honestly, I'll pretty much just say, if you make an add-on that just like counts up from the amount of seconds you've been logged in, I'll probably talk about it. So just tweet at me, get me your add-ons.
And Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me killing Kel'Thuzad on Wiping server, first of all, next week. That's fine. And then you can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter and everything that I do at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. All right, guys, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Boop, boop.